Hey y'all, I'm your girl Sincerely Jasmine.
And I'm your boy Ed Hip, and you are now tuned in to Cultural Behavior, where every element has a seat at the table.
And we are here with our guest, Catherin. Thank you so much for sitting
Welcome.
down with us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Awesome. So, tell us about you. Before we get started, tell us about you, what you do, how you got started, etc.
All right, well, born and raised in Queens, so I have to shout out to Queens. I know we're not looking too hot right now. Thank you, Nikki. But we still holding it down, all right?
Wow.
Right. So from Queens, I actually went to school in Philadelphia. Cool. My school is now renamed to Jefferson, but I don't respect that. So it's still Philly U. Thank you for knowing.
Word.
At Philly U, I did fashion merchandising and communications. And then when I was in Philly, I was meeting a whole bunch of dope people. And I just wanted to be a dot connector. You're doing this, I want to put you on. I want to put an event together. I want to just have a platform because so many of my friends were doing dope things. In that, I became a chapter president for an organization called Bragg at my school. And then I was the events chair. So I was able to give my school highlight mainly Black artists in Philly at my school to give them more opportunities for internships. So that's sort of how I got my start and my love for putting on events and connecting people. So then I decided fashion wasn't for me. And I got my MBA in marketing to focus more on learning the events and marketing aspect. From there, I took my talents back to New York, realized things changed drastically. And if I was going to try to make it in the events industry, I had to sort of align myself with someone. So I reached out to a known event producer, planner. She puts on for the industry, and I became her intern, and then that changed into me becoming her assistant. While full-time, I was working for an event producer, so I was learning two different aspects.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So I was producing events as a designer, and then I was planning events for the industry, sort of trying to figure out my way. From there, I met my business partner doing an event, and we realized when it came to networking events that people only cared about who you are, who you work for, and what you can do for them.
True.
There was no genuine connections being made.
Definitely.
So we kept running into each other and sticking with each other. It didn't help that we was the darkest people in the room, the youngest people in the room. No one gave a fuck about us. Am I allowed to curse?
Cat's out the bag now.
So from there, we started brainstorming, and then we came up with Curated Vibes Group.
Okay.
And basically, it's supposed to be an unconventional networking agency for like-minded individuals. And we looking for people to start connecting to the left and to the right instead of going upwards, like Issa Rae said, and make genuine connections.
I like that. So is there anybody specifically you want to work with?
Carlene Roy.
Okay.
She's a major event producer. If you see Rick Ross's birthday parties, Migos' parties, that's all her.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's the direction you're going in.
That's who I want to be.
Got you. That's me. Yo, to be known for parties and events, you plugged in. You know what I mean? We about to be plugged in. It's our cousin now.
Right, exactly.
You know
We
all family. It's our first cousin
So
now.
when you do Rick Ross party, we need to be on the list.
In there. We got to call Yana for real.
Right. But so I think it's interesting that you mentioned that. It was that's one of my favorite quotes, Issa Rae's quote about networking across. We actually mentioned that in the episode before. So it's crazy that you actually built your platform on that, I guess, value, where obviously networking is about making connections and not just looking to meet with the biggest person, you know. And then another thing that I think is, and maybe I'm wrong, when people go look to make these connections with the bigger names, they don't really get much benefit out making the connection. It's I gotta pick with such and such to post on the gram, but then they never email me back, or they never follow back, or they so it's I've that's something that I've grown to kind of understand with events and just networking in general. Is you might get a pick with your favorite stylist or your favorite artist or whatever, DJ, or maybe even the event producer or whatever, but then it's then where does the connection and
where does the
how
relationship
can you use
go?
that
Exactly.
and turn it into something, or step over and become something bigger?
Is this becoming your colleague? Are you actually networking, or what is it?
I feel like it's all about timing. There's certain times where people feel I deserve to be with celebrities and XYZ, but you haven't done the footwork. You know, how many times have you done photo shoots? How many events have you actually covered?
Right.
How many things have you done? Are you credible?
Right.
Who
As
do
far
you
as
know?
your resume.
Who can vouch for you? You know, things of that nature. And you know what we do.
Right.
It's all about that. It's all
Exactly.
about
Building
who
that
can
rapport.
vouch for you. You know what I mean? So in terms of that, have you ever been like denied for any jobs because of? Do you feel like it was like you were profiled? That's why you were not accepted?
So denied for jobs all the time. Currently been at my job almost 3 years, and I do say like I'm blessed where I am because personality also helps you get through the door.
Right.
And I'm a big personality person. Like there's
see.
no putting on airs. Like I can't do
Right.
that. So I be stuttering at internships, interviews, and stuff because.
Right.
I don't want to fake the funk.
Right.
Like I just want to be me, and it doesn't help that I started coloring my hair in 2016. So when I did think about leaving my job, like I had to keep that in the back of my mind. Like
Right.
even though my resume speaks for itself, when I come in person, they're like, "Wait a minute, this girl got green hair. Like, is she even really serious?"
Right, right.
And it's like, well, if you ask about me, not only am I serious, I'm one of the hardest effing workers at
Okay.
my current job.
Right, right. See, and the work is going to always outshine
Right.
almost anything.
Right.
And these questions are so like, I don't know, they already have them written. So it's like, you know, they're going to come in
Scripted.
here
Right.
and ask you what corporate said, ask this individual versus questioning, why did you put your hair like that? Or what is that about? Let me get a little more personal with you before I
exactly.
bring you on the team. That way I know what I'm walking away from, you know what I mean? Because that way, say for
Or
instance,
walking
you,
into.
right? Because what if I brought you here and like, oh yeah, I want to interview you for such and such, and as soon as I saw your hair, I'm like, Jazz, no, tell her get out of here, and then I see you on TV next week, you know, and that's how it happened, you know what I mean? And that's how it always happens. So it's like, always be you, and I like the fact that you don't want to change just for a job, or
Right.
you don't want to look a certain way just to get in the door, because like it is, women today are becoming a strong force. You know what I mean? It's all about
Definitely.
being who you are and being strong.
Being
Embracing it.
unapologetic.
Exactly,
go.
and that's something that we speak on a lot here. Just identity, and that's why when you reached out, I'm like, this is great. Like, it's great to actually sit down and talk to her, just like about not only your business and your story, but identity and how you actually identify, because you are a statement. Like, you know, like, and it's very interesting that you said that fashion wasn't for you, because like, look at you, like, you can't tell me that
'Cause you're
fashion
not
not for
trying.
you.
She just
Yeah,
threw
it's
this
just
together.
effortless.
Right,
Like,
literally, though.
Yeah, like, make it fashion.
Right.
So like with that, just speaking on identity, you said 2016 is when you kind of broke into this like hair color, like, you know, like actually.
Was
like,
it a bad relationship? Sorry.
It wasn't actually.
What got you? That was gonna be my question. What got you? Like, what made you take that step of like, you know what? I don't care what people think. This is what I want to do. Like, how were you able to actually take that step?
I think that's a dope question. Usually people like frame it weird, where it's like, I don't really know what you looking for me to say to
Yeah,
that.
like how did you make your transition and being a statement?
Right.
So I think I was influenced by one of my good friends, and she's also from Philadelphia as well. She had this dope short like green bob, and I was like, damn, that look fly. But she works in fashion and retail, like she can get away with it.
Right.
I was doing Carnival for the first time in 2016. And I was like, all right, I have to like pop and like look different. We all look the same. We wearing the same costumes.
Right.
What can I do to make myself look different? And then I asked my job as I was being interviewed, I was like, do you guys have policies or protocols around hair color? And then the recruiter looked at me and she was like, well, what are you trying to do?
Right.
And I was like, I'm trying to do it all, actually. And then she was like, I just hired somebody with like purple hair. We don't care. Like, you can do you. So that was the first like cosign that I needed. I won't
Right.
get fired for this?
Right.
Cool. So then I tested it out with like simple braids, pastel, like warm, cool. And then once I didn't get in trouble for it, I was like, okay, let's
She
spice
wasn't
it
lying.
up.
Right.
Let's spice this up. Then I still got my job. And then I did bright neon green. And I did that for Carnival.
Right.
So after doing that, just the feedback I was getting, just how comfortable I was feeling, because, you know, as a woman, we have so many insecurities
Definitely.
all the time. So that made me feel confident. And I know, like, people will look at me a little weird. It doesn't help that 6'9" was out here with colorful hair. That,
Right.
oof. But between feeling more confident in myself, between seeing little girls look at me and their eyes are bugging open and they're with their dads and they're saying how much they love my hair,
Right.
and just thinking like I was always this weird person growing up, but having to suppress it because of wanting to be cool.
Right.
And then seeing like other kids looking up to me like, wow, she's out here, she's confident. I can be that. Like, there's room for me to do that. So it turned into this thing bigger than me, where it's more so representation, as well as representation in corporate. So technically I work in tech, so it's not really corporate, but it is a corporate job. It's a publicly traded company. And I'm breaking down so many stigmas. Like, you can't say I can't have tattoos. You can't say I have colored hair and I'm not a serious worker. I know this is bringing more attention to me, so it made me work 10 times harder at my job. Where now I have like higher execs asking me like genuine interest and feedback, and I can have those confident, hard conversations without them thinking like, oh, this girl's not even serious.
Right. Yeah, see. And today, you always walk in the door feeling like, why are they staring at me? Like what's wrong? Like, you know what I mean? Like, even though they don't know you, but they're already prejudging you. Right. They already judge people by their name. So, you know, bad enough.
And it doesn't help that my name is white as hell.
Yeah,
like, I'm half Italian.
With the rainbow hair? Like, okay.
So they're like, oh, this little Italian girl's going to walk in, then here I come with my half black ass.
Resume.
Explain.
They're sitting there like,
hold up.
Who did we just invite here?
Exactly. But I think it's awesome because just like you're saying, the stigma of like people looking at you for being different is going to always be there. But I also think as we're progressing, and as I said this earlier, like women are breaking barriers, you know, so as we're continuing to break these barriers and like continuing to like be more important and respected as women, I think our identity is becoming more comfortable, and women are becoming more comfortable in their own skin. And it's interesting that you said that you didn't make this transition in 2016, because you can't tell me that you haven't had colored hair your whole life.
I thought you was doing it at 10.
Like you can't tell me that you wasn't the kid who had like the dark, like, you know, the blue braids and the purple braids. Like,
I tried. I did sneak little ones in there,
so
as much as like my mama wouldn't whip me, you know.
It's interesting that it took to 2016 and you to become comfortable in your career and comfortable in like yourself, to be like, you know what, I don't care. Like, you know, my work speaks for itself. This is who I want to, this is who I am, and this is what I want to do. You either going to let me do it, or I'm going to go do it great somewhere else.
Exactly. So, that's literally it.
Literally.
Word. So is your like personality intimidating to men, being as though you're so strong and you don't really care about, you know, what people feel?
I mean, you'd have to ask them. But if you'd ask me, I would say yes and no. The reason why I would say yes and no is it probably intimidating for white men? Yes.
Okay.
Even though my father's a white man, which is also really funny, like the interesting relationships I have with white men. Black men, some yes, some no. Gay men love me.
Okay.
But with black men, I think I'm such, I want to say an advocate, or like rally behind them so much, behind y'all so much, because we have to do this together. Like the way that we're talking about Women's History Month and how much love we're getting, we need that love from black men. We definitely have to look out for each other so much more now in today's climate. We can't be divided.
I agree.
So I think with the way that I have such like close guy friends, even like whatever you want to call type of relationships I have, like we have that respect there, because like I like to say that Erykah Badu, I listen.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there, I'm listening to you, I'm having your back, but then I'm also challenging you. So I'm challenging your thoughts, but not in a disrespectful manner. Because I want to hear or try to understand where you're coming from. And then I'm advocating more for the mental health. Like we focus so much on girls, and I was so happy for that. Like I'm in therapy now. Black Girls for Therapy, Black Therapy for Girls, whatever that website is. They circulated one for males finally.
Oh, really?
So I've been pushing that out. One of my good friends is a therapist. She works at a place where they're focusing on black men as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. We need that. Like,
definitely.
More than people know.
Definitely,
you know
definitely.
I mean?
We all do.
And as soon as we go off the deep end, we're judged. You know, we never have anybody pull us over and say, you need to talk. You know,
are you okay?
I noticed your last post. We don't use like social media to like figure out what people going through. We just put them in a box and then judge them. So you know,
unfollow them for not being.
Yeah, or block you because you said something. And it's like, well, wait, I didn't know where you was coming from. You know what I mean? And to be able to go to a website, or is it a physical place or?
So it's a physical place in Brooklyn, and then there is a website circulating.
Okay, yeah, we definitely need that. To
yeah, we definitely got to find that information. We're going to hit on a quick break. We'll be right back. Cultural Behavior with Catherin. You're now tuned into Cultural Behavior. It's your boy Ed Hip, and we're here with Catherin.
Yo.
Let's Good, sis.
Were you able to get that website?
Yes. So it's therapyforblackgirls.com and then therapyforblackmen.org.
Got it.
Oh, it's different.
Yeah.
Got you. We
So,
need that.
what is it? Therapy
Therapyforblackgirls.com, therapyforblackmen.org.
Okay,
Cool,
we definitely
cool.
want to make sure that we got that bit of information.
I'm gonna give a
share out.
review about it too, because I need to check that out.
Yeah, that's something I'm going to look into it as well. I've definitely been looking for a therapist. I think it's very important that, and we try to always touch base on mental health, just because not only as young, colored people, but also as creatives and entrepreneurs and people who are doing so many different things, and just like kind of overwhelmed, anxious, stressed, like
all the time.
all of those emotions.
We just need a hug sometimes.
Right.
Man.
Sometimes I just need a hug.
Right.
Like,
real.
so just experiencing all of those emotions, like with you particularly finishing school, working in corporate, even with identifying the way that you do, like it's just like a lot of different pressure on top of managing a business and
Right.
having events, producing events, attending events. Like, so how does that like affect your mental health? And
It affects it tremendously. There's like, I've realized I've become more moody now, and it's because of the fact that it's a whirlwind of emotions. It's, I'm excited one day, I'm pissed the next day, I'm stressed out the other day, I'm tired, I fall asleep early, I'm up too late, I'm anxious, like, and I suffer with anxiety, so like that doesn't help.
right.
And then I just always feel overwhelmed. Like no matter what day it is, I feel overwhelmed.
Right.
And then as creatives, we have this weird thing where we feel guilty when we're not being productive.
Yep.
Wow.
And then that weighs on your mental health too. So I'm laying in bed trying to like, okay, self-care. You just want to binge watch Netflix for a little bit. And then you're sitting there like, you could be sending this email. You didn't respond to this
Yep.
person. You got to fix this content. You got to plan this event. You got to reach out to this person. And you're trying to talk yourself down, like be in the moment,
Yep.
be still.
I'm human.
Right. Like I
A
can
balance
enjoy
of like
Netflix.
being a human and like a robot, like
Right.
having so much going on
Yeah.
is so overwhelming. And I feel like obviously we all have a lot going on, so I think it's
Right.
just something we all need to like kind of sit down and identify. Like, hey, I'm not okay right now.
Yes.
Like I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. I might need to talk to someone about this.
Right.
I
So
just
I-
think it's important.
But who do we talk to at this point? Like
Right.
a lot of us, we can go on that website, but who's like, somebody we can just reach right out to and say, hey, I'm going through X, Y, Z and get a direct response.
Right.
It's like at this point, it's not too many old heads that really like take people under their wings and be like, yo, I was just there 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
This how you do X, Y, Z. There was competition.
But
So-
I don't think it's you need to look to someone specifically. What I've learned in the past year, maybe 2 years, is making sure you're having the right people in your corner. So let's say if you hit me up and you just hit me up with a vent, and I know my mind isn't there, but I'm trying to be there for you, I can say, hey, I'm gonna get back to you tomorrow.
Right.
I just can't do it for you today.
Right.
Especially like when you're that go-to person or when you're the strong friend, like who's
Right.
checking on the strong friend.
Very
And there's
important.
more people that are starting to recognize that and like check in. So you have to sort of reevaluate who's in your corner and who's on your side, and who you want in your corner and who you want on your side. Like
Definitely.
who is my starting five lineup? Like I
Right.
know today X isn't available. Let me go to A.
Right.
And then also having my therapist has been like a godsend because you don't want to put that burden on anybody. Like you said, we're all going through things.
Right.
This is someone who's licensed to listen to you talk
Right.
about yourself.
True that. True. And
So
your
I'd be like,
friends are
lovely girl.
something else, right?
I'm coming in today.
Right.
But I think it's important that like not only as creatives but just like as like young people is that
Yeah.
we be mindful that you do have those people that just vent, and like sometimes I personally feel like nobody checks on me. Like nobody's like, how you
Same.
doing?
Right,
Like, and I'm just
right.
like, everybody's like, oh, proud of you. See you doing this. Like, keep working. Like everybody supports the grind. Everybody supports the motion. Everybody supports the productivity. But not many people are like, hey, how you feeling? I
Right.
see you're doing a lot.
Right.
Everything okay? Like, it's
Right.
like, it just becomes normal where it's like, yeah, this person wears a tons of head. Like they're always in motion. They're always going to be okay. Like them,
Right.
like them
And
being
they're the ones that are
productive.
teetering on this line
Right,
of cracking.
them being
Yo.
productive, them being super active and in motion. Like, in motion means that they're fine,
Right.
and I'm
Right.
like, that's the opposite. So
Complete
I feel like
opposite.
that's like a creative like message that we need to get out there. Just because people like usually the busiest people are like the saddest people, or like, you know, the most
Right.
overwhelmed and like emotional people.
I agree.
So.
I agree. You see what our conversations are like.
Right.
Like outside of, you know, anything else, we always talking about building something and creating
Right,
something.
exactly.
But the headache of actually making it come to the light is what makes you stressed, make you hide, make you wonder, is this content going to be worth it?
Yep.
Right.
You know, it's just a lot with it. And these are struggles that didn't exist a few years ago.
Right.
You know, just
It
like
comes with
looking,
it.
looking at these new jobs like social media marketing. What was
Right,
that 15
right.
years ago? So it's like right now we have to like learn how to adapt to the new things coming our way, as well as pick and choose our battles.
Right.
You know, some of us want to be so busy we don't even realize what we're in
Yep.
until it's time to like actually produce. And
Right.
then it's like, what is this? You know,
Like you
I
say,
like
pick
this.
and choose your battles, because I've like grown. Like I can tell you, maybe in 2015, like when I first graduated, I came home. I was just doing like a bunch of events and like being super active, working with all these people, working on all these projects, and I just was like, I was just burning myself out. But I felt like the more active I was, it was like whatever. You want to collab? You want to do this? Like I was just taking
Saying yes to
everything,
everything.
Right.
like every engagement, everything that like fell
Gotta be
onto my
selective
lap.
with
I
your
just was
energy.
like, and now I'm like, it's okay to not text back. Before I responded to every email.
Right.
That was
I
a lesson
responded
for
to
me.
every text. I answered every call. And now I just look at my phone like, I'm gonna give you a call back. Sometimes you call, I might text you like, hey, yeah, I'm about to lay down. Like I
We'll
value
catch
my
up
sleep.
tomorrow.
That's
Yeah.
something like, you know, like my sleep is my sanity. So it's like I will ignore a phone call. I will ignore a text. I will like, hey, I'll email this back. Like it'd be money
Right.
in my email. Like wait and like, hey, trying to get this, you know,
Mm-hmm.
invoice through to you. I'm just like, I'm gonna get that tomorrow at 8 because that's my
Right.
business
Right.
hours.
Yeah.
My business hours start at 8.
Come first. You definitely come first. And that brings me to my next question. Like, where do you see yourself in the next few years? Not even with a number, but just looking ahead. Where do you see yourself going?
That's hard because 5 years ago, I don't think I thought I'd be here.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have where I see myself. I know where I'd like to be. Like I'd like to own in New York, which is very hard. And I didn't want to own 5 years ago.
Okay.
And now seeing gentrification, I know it's hitting Philly too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Seeing gentrification in New York, it's like, how do I own? And it's like, I don't want to own for myself. I want to own for the culture.
Right.
Like,
Same.
I want to have Black Wall Street come back.
Same.
I want to be a part of it. I want to bring that back. So that's what I see in 5 years, whether it's a storefront, whether I put in with other people as an investment, whether it's just for me and I'm letting people have access to it or see a different example. That's one thing I see for myself. I'd like this finger to like have something on it, a little shiny. You know? So
To
nice.
somebody out here.
Somebody.
I mean, I'm hella single,
She
so
said
I
the
need
straight
someone to
shot
step
to
up.
somebody.
Somebody checking for you.
You know?
That's a hint.
But I want to just be a representation of breaking down a lot of stigmas.
I like that.
Especially within our culture, especially when it comes to women, Black women, corporate, being unapologetic,
Right.
having these conversations, normalizing these conversations. Like that's what I want my legacy to be.
Right.
It's bigger than what like I do. Like yes, I put on these events. Yes, I help people. Yes, I attend these events. Yes, this person knows me. Yes, I do this at my job. But I don't want those things to define me.
Right.
I want to be defined by being this person.
Right.
I like that. So.
I'm all with the Black Wall Street.
Yeah, I was about to say. So let's get into the Black Wall
Let's
Street.
bring
thing
it
real quick.
back.
So, what do you know exactly about the old Wall Street, Black Wall Street?
I know the last owner just recently passed.
Right. So
yeah,
that means
so
the door's
they're
open.
they're all
Right.
gone. So we got to be the ones to bring it back.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
a lot of that is happening. I kept hearing a lot of stuff about Jay-Z and Diddy trying to do something similar to that. I don't know exactly what direction
That would
they're
be
going
really
in,
dope.
That would be.
but how
If
much
anybody
access
could do
will we
it, I
have
think-
though to that?
I think if anybody could start it, they would be probably the two most powerful forces to kind of get it going. Like not only by finances, but also influence. Like
Right.
you know, so like I definitely think like I mean everybody might not love them or love how
Right.
they do things, but as
Right.
far as like influence in the culture and business, like like in our communities, but also like the way our like title, like like revolt, like like these are
Major.
people who are making major impressions in our culture. So I think if anybody, I trust Jay-Z and Diddy to run Black Wall Street.
I agree. I just wonder, like, would creatives at all levels have a fair chance
right.
to, utilize the platform?
Right.
Because just because it exists doesn't mean we're benefiting.
100%.
That's 100%
You know
true.
what I mean? Like, people talk about Rock Nation all the time, and it sounds so decent to actually be a part if you're a part, but if you can actually get in those rooms, you got to do what you got to do. But if you can't, you got to start creating opportunities for yourself.
Right.
And that's what a lot of us don't do. They go and crawl under a rock and be like, well, they didn't
get
want me.
discouraged.
Am I still good? This and that. And it's not enough of us telling each other, like, yo, you worth it. We good.
Right.
Let's do this together. Like, me and you, we
Right.
always trying to build.
Right.
And I don't see a lot of people doing that. It's either two men or it's a whole bunch of other people. Me and her,
Right.
it's just be me and her. You know what I mean? And we still here with it. But
especially when it comes to like you're talking about ownership, you're talking about properties, you know, we're talking about actual wealth. I think it's very important that like not only in business, like, you know, partnerships and stuff like that, that we actually come together like while we can, like we got the time, we got the
distribute
energy,
the wealth.
we got
Right.
the time and opportunity to make the money.
I agree.
So I think it's very important that we come together. Like this is a conversation that I had like with my family. Like it's time for us to start a legacy. Like if we don't do it now, then like when is it going to happen?
Right.
So it's important that these conversations are happening. And I personally think a lot of people are starting to take that step into investing into wealth, especially like Black, you know, young colored
right.
entrepreneurs, creatives, starting to actually make that investment into real estate ownership, whether it's a business, getting things actually
Right.
registered legally,
Right.
ownership of names, ownership of music. We've talked about
Logos.
this.
Because that's
ownership
how
of
we always get appropriated. Everything
Yep.
about us gets appropriated.
Yep.
We get appropriated, then we get disrespected and disregarded.
Yep.
So we have to like start now.
Absolutely. We got to be the creators of tomorrow and stop just falling in line.
Right.
There's so many of us just out here working jobs that people created and we don't really know the mission.
Mm-hmm.
We just falling in line for a check.
Yeah.
Like, but we will be able to tell people, like, you work with our brand, this is why. This is what you'll get. This is where you can go
Right.
if you do
and
your
this
end
is
of
the
bargain.
opportunity that, and
Right.
this is where we can actually lead. So it's funny because I actually said that when we was on break, like I'm about to buy a house, and here she go talking about ownership.
See, the universe. We always
So
say that.
yeah,
Yeah, put it out
definitely all for ownership. So tell us a little bit more about the type of events. So you guys have a motto of being the unconventional networking events, which I thought was like really different because first you spoke on like actually networking, which is important. Because
Right.
like a lot of networking events, you don't network. You go with your homie,
Turn
you
up
know,
real
you bring
quick.
your
Right.
girlfriend,
Drink
or your
everything in the
boyfriend.
open bar.
Right, you get the little open bar access. You get a drink or two. Stop at the vendors if there's any vendors, and then
Right.
bounce. Like, you know, it's like, did you actually benefit from these networking events? So tell us a little bit about some of the type of events that you do and what make them unconventional.
Well, it also is more so like who we focusing on. So we want to focus on the underdogs, the misfits, the ones that don't think like, oh, I'm not good enough. Let me not try to put something out there. They're sitting on an idea, but they're not taking it further. They also don't know how to take it further or know if anyone will believe in them. So that's like who we want to primarily focus on. And then we like to say that we focus on the side hustler. So, you know, living in New York, you gotta have 10 different streams of income just to pay your rent. So everybody has a day job, but then they have their side hustle that they're passionate about. Like that's their
Right.
passion project, but to them, that's who they are. That's their creative outlet. So we want to focus on that person as well. And then with our events is we don't have name tags. Please don't bring your business cards. We don't say that, but that's like the vibe of our events.
Right.
So some of our events, like for an example, we have an annual event called Brunch in Bed, and it came with a play on 3 different things. So brunch in bed, bed being in Bed-Stuy.
Oh.
Bed being come as you are, because as millennials, as young people, we're hella tired and we love our bed
Right.
and we undervalue our bed.
So much.
So we're taking away the whole brunch. You know, brunch in New York, I'm sure it's in like that in Philly too. You gotta come dressed, you got your heels on, you got a whole outfit. We
Right.
don't care. Come in your sneakers, come in your pajamas. People dead rolled up in like robes. It was cute to see.
Wow.
And we did 4 different stations with 4 different caterers, so emerging chefs, and they only had 1 dish to do. So they
nice.
can promote their signature dish, get their name out there. And then we had Bar by like one of our favorite mixologists. She has her own dope brand that she's getting off the ground as well, but she is known for being a mixologist in New York. And then we had like a mimosa bar where we had like nectars and juices, and they were all like local. And then we all tied a theme to it. So you don't even realize you bouncing around to these different chefs and stuff. You're talking to them. You're networking. You don't
Right.
realize you're networking.
Right.
And then for our second go round, we did the Insecure finale. So now we added in another element. You were all, as a community, Black Twitter is here in real life watching the Insecure finale
Right.
together. And then we had like games, of course, to like break that weird ice. So people are getting drunk, slapping down the giant Uno cards.
Word.
And then at the end of the night, like seeing people come up to me like, yo, I didn't know you were doing this. Like, I'm a DJ too. I'd love to get on to your next event. Watching someone get hired after one of our events. We had another event that focused strictly on mental health called Get Your Life.
Oh, wow.
And we had a therapist there, and a girl was coming from Jersey, and I know that she suffers from depression, and she gets social anxiety. So her being there, and at the end of the event, her giving me a hug and telling me how much she was happy she took the journey to New York, and New York scares her, and how much she fell in love with one of the girls who was there who was a therapist.
Oh, wow.
Followed her. She texted her husband at the event saying, oh, we got to talk tonight. And like had this hard conversation that was been weighing on her. And that was one of our smaller events. So that's another thing too. We're very intimate in our events. We don't like going more than 40 or 50.
I like that.
Because, crowds can get overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then our activities, we don't like going more than 20.
Okay.
So now we're making it easier for you to talk amongst yourselves, talk across the room.
Right, actually network.
Exactly. And the whole thing behind it is you're building meaningful relationships, regardless if it's going to be professional or personal.
Right.
You don't know if the person you were sitting next to talking up all night, you got their Instagram, 3 months later you realize you need a photographer. Oh yeah, you met this photographer, you love their energy, you know they're not going to dick you over because you met the genuine person behind the talent, and now you got that connection. And we've watched that happen, and that's what's rewarding for us.
That's dope.
That's so dope.
Yeah, I think it's really important to create that intimacy when it comes to networking, because sometimes you kind of gotta force it. Like, hey, it's only a little bit of us here, so we gotta talk.
Yeah, you gotta do it what you got.
Definitely.
How often do you guys have like events?
When we first started, we wanted to do one every month. That didn't happen, but in our first year, we did hit 12 events in total. 2 of them were out of state, so we were happy about that. This month alone, we have 3. April, we have 3, and then May we're quiet, and then June we have 1, and then we come back in September. So I think I'll just say roughly we'll probably do 12 a year.
Okay.
And it comes with doing our own as well as helping others. So we also get hired to produce others' events too.
I like
That's
that.
dope. That's
so dope.
That's really decent.
I never heard nothing like that. I know a lot of people that will probably benefit from just pulling up to something.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And actually networking.
Yeah.
So we're going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back with Cultural Behavior, and we're here with Catherin.
Yep.
Welcome back to Cultural Behavior. We are still here with our girl Catherin. So I know when we first started talking about booking you for the show, you was telling me like I'm traveling, like so we kind of went back and forth with a couple of dates. So tell me about your trip. Where you coming from?
I just got back from Thailand. It was my first time ever in Asia. That flight is wild.
How long was it?
Yeah, how long is it?
19 hours.
Oh, that's almost a day, literally.
Yeah. So it's,
You had connecting flights, or that's straight?
oh no, it wasn't straight. So I had a little layover. On the way there, it was easier. It was a 4-hour layover, and my flight left at like midnight. So I like slept for majority of that flight, and then the little 4-hour flight. I was like, all right, I can make it through this.
Yeah.
Right.
On the way back was a little bit brutal. It started in the morning. Our layover I think was 8 hours, but then we left that morning, and technically I landed that same night in New York. So it was
Oh, the time difference.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
all thrown
right.
off a little bit.
What's the time difference for
12 hours.
12 hours? Jesus.
Wait, so it's like you never did something.
Right.
Wait.
Right. Like
This never happened.
Like I didn't even go nowhere.
Traveling like out of the country is so crazy. Like those like double-digit flights, is, like 19 hours. I would look at that and be like, I want to go, but not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But tell us about your experience there. Like how I definitely want to go to Thailand. That's definitely one of the places that's on my list, traveling list. So how was your experience there?
It was amazing. I've been looking into Buddhism a little bit, so seeing how prevalent like Buddhism is there, the temples they have there, and my friend knew somebody that lived in Bangkok, and he's actually studying to be a monk.
Wow.
So going to temples with him, and he's explaining things, like that was a whole different experience for me, and that was one of the most like amazing experiences that I have. That's something I'm going to hold on to from that trip.
Definitely.
I do love traveling a lot because, I'm from New York. It's a melting pot. I'm biracial, so I'm black and white, so I'm already a melting pot.
Right.
When you get to experience these different cultures, it sort of helps you be like more aware, more appreciative. You like lose stereotypes. You're understanding a little bit more. So for their culture, it's fast. Like Bangkok is fast. Everything that everybody said when it's like a city, they're not lying.
All right.
Phuket is more like beach, party, islands. And then Chiang Mai is more like reserved, creative. It reminds me a little bit of like Austin, how Austin's popping off. That's what Chiang Mai reminded me of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Austin's like a dope vibe. So it's funny that you like.
I always try to like connect it to something. Like, what does this remind me of?
I totally get what you mean by that.
But it's amazing. Honestly, I would recommend it to anybody and everybody. Reason being is my round trip was like $500.
Oh.
I
take the 19
Who was your booking agent? Like,
You gotta use Hopper. And that's the thing that I like to, I don't like to talk about money, but when it comes to traveling, I'll talk about money because I want us to lose the, oh, I can't afford this.
Definitely.
If you do certain things smart, you can definitely afford it. Like, you're going to spend that money throughout the year. You're going to spend it on a bag. You're going to spend it going to the bar. What if you sat out from the bar for 1 month? What if you didn't buy lunch every day for 1 month? Right. You can take yourself to Asia.
You'll have it. That's
and
amazing.
like, our currency exchange rate is wild. We ate for like $3.
Wow.
Happy hour drinks, Jameson was $3.
Wow.
In US. So it was wild cheap there. Even buying souvenirs, buying clothes. And I went in with a stigma like, oh, I'm a thick black girl. Like, ain't none of their clothes gonna fit me. I don't need to bring extra money. No, they know tourists are coming and shit is hella cheap.
Wow.
So it was definitely a different experience. And as a black girl being there, I think because it is becoming more popular in our culture to travel to Asia, travel to Thailand, they're not like, oh my God, black person, let me take a picture. They must be Beyonce. They sort of like walk past you or just think automatically like, oh, American. Like, let me just try to get their money. Like, I don't care what their skin color is.
What's the energy? Like, when they see you, what is the energy since it's not
Especially with all this colorful hair, it's like they're not used to it.
You know?
I got a little Nicki Minaj reference when I went out one night, and it was kind of funny. I was like, oh, y'all know Nicki Minaj? Like, I didn't realize how much our pop culture influenced them as well. They also are very influenced by K-pop, which is like that Korean pop. I know nothing about that, so that was a culture shock for me too. But I don't think it was anything that made me feel wildly uncomfortable. I got the weird hair touching thing a few times, but I probably feel like I get it more in America with white girls and boys than I did there.
Okay,
cool. So was that business or you were just going for vacation?
It was pleasure. It was just for me. Yeah.
You need that.
Yeah. I need to separate the two. I balance it out.
Yeah, good. I think it's important, like you said, just like to talk about it not being unattainable, like traveling while young and black. I think it's so important. Like, you know, like whether it's putting $400 or $500 aside or, you know, putting something down for whatever or grinding it out, I think it's really important that we do travel. I know me and Ed both was talking about trying to take trips and needing a vacation.
I agree. And it's good to set that time aside. Because you're either going to spend it doing something you regret or doing nothing.
Right. Like spending the money on lunch and happy hour and coffee. That's where I spend all my money. It's so hard. And I know. Like, I'm mindful of it. I'm just like, I should stop buying coffee. I should stop buying lunch. I should start saving. And, like, it's like something you noticeably, like, do. But it's like, we really need it.
Yeah. I try
and
to,
it's
like...
little things you could do. Like, if you can switch it out. So I started bringing my own lunch. And that's been a thing. Like, that's the one thing that I'll put, like... No, you're going to bring your own lunch. Other things I still, let me just swipe my card. And I'm like, damn, that goes my whole check.
Right. I should have just bought lunch.
Right.
Like, I get it. The difference between, like, me, I'll try to, like, hustle up the money I'm spending in another area. Where it's like, all right, dang, I spend $150 a month on dumb stuff. Let me try to get some gigs going.
Right, so where I make it right back.
That money going right back. You know what I mean? I never want to feel like I'm losing.
Whenever I travel, that's something that I say whenever I travel, I don't really, like, I like to travel without a care. Like, I don't like to go on a budget. I like no matter where I'm going, I want to be able to, like, if I'm going somewhere, which I don't do, like, very often, but if I'm going somewhere, it's like, I'm not trying to travel on a budget. I want to be able to live my life. So I always kind of set these times. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to try to set these, but I try to set these times where it's like, okay, well, this month I'm going to really grind it up. You know, so I'm going to definitely make a grand extra.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, outside of work, at work, whatever. So I always make sure that whenever I travel, I come back to money. Whether it's a check at work, like, okay, we get paid this week, I'm going to go on vacation this week.
Smart.
So when I come back, I know I get it. If not, it's like, okay, well, I know I got this gig coming up. I'm going to have $500 as soon as I, you know, come back from here. So I just always like to come back to money. So I don't worry about what I spent.
It makes you anxious. And at some point during vacations, and I'm guilty for this, I start feeling guilty before I get back home.
Yep.
I'm like, sheesh, I just spent
thinking about all the PB&J sandwiches you got to make for the week.
And I didn't reply to nobody because I said I was going to be out of town. now, I could have been coming back to money, but
Right.
it's like at this point, being as I've been in that boat so many times, when I've done stuff and came back, I'm just like, okay, let
What
me
can I
set
do
stuff up.
different?
Yeah, let me do something different. Let me try to take more like group trips with my friends, so we all come back trying to get to it. That way, I'm not just saying, yo, Jazz, I got such and such to do, and she just going about her regular day.
Right.
She coming back like, yo, I got to make it back too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, to do more things together, but actually like help each other balance it out. It shouldn't make it so scary, because I mean, I still want to travel with you, Oprah.
Right, exactly.
Even though you,
Now, Oprah,
even though you out here buying furs,
you gotta build the budget up, and I
Yeah.
just think, and this will be my last thing about traveling. I think it's important for us as young Black people. Is essential to travel as creatives, because when you take these trips, whether short, a week long, however, you come back so inspired. And I don't know if I'm the only one. Like just being on an airplane, a train, whatever, is so
your notepad,
inspiring.
like,
Yeah, so I come back with a million ideas all the time. So it's so inspiring. We're going to take a quick break. We are here with Cultural Behavior with Catherin. We'll be right back.
You are now tuned in to Cultural Behavior. We're here with Catherin.
You're
You're-
I do one time for New York.
So wait, do you guys only do events in New York?
No, we've been to Philly, we've been to DC, and we've been in talks about being in Atlanta.
Okay, but you are New York based.
We're on New York base because that's where we all live. And
Okay, so it's so crazy. I had no idea you lived in New York. I thought you lived in Philly.
It's
So-
my second city. It's my second home. So I stay in tune in what's going on in Philly because,
Right.
like, as much as I hate to say it, I have love for y'all. Y'all help me come out my show.
Well, we
so-
appreciate
We
you.
appreciate you coming all the way from New York to just sit down with little old us. I had no
I've been watching you
idea.
for a little minute. You know.
Oh, we really
Word,
appreciate
word.
it.
I really do appreciate it. It's
That's
decent.
crazy.
Because I honestly hate the ride from Philly to
Oh,
New York.
yeah.
That's
I
why
don't
got
like
your
nothing
car.
about the tunnel. I hate everything, like the back roads.
I kind of like it because it gives me solitude. It's just me in my
Right,
car and
yeah.
whatever music
That's
I want to listen
peaceful.
to. Yeah.
Well, tell the people where they can find you, your business, social media, all that.
You can follow me on Instagram at RetroBarbie92. My company is Curated Vibes Group. And then on Twitter, I'm monster_Barbie with a 3, not an E at the end. It's been that way since 2009. I've debated changing it, but people call me that in the street. So
Is
why
that Nicki
change it now?
Minaj inspired? Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. Like,
So I was a Nicki Minaj and a Lady Gaga fan in 2009 because that's when they really came
Right.
out, and they're both from New York,
got
and they
it.
both
Monster
were the weirdos.
Barbie.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, they doing it for the girls. They doing something different. Like I heavy was behind them, and then
All
Okay.
this stuff started happening.
we're here.
yeah, at least- I mean, you put thought behind that. you know.
Right.
Some people just name anything. Like,
Right.
I was that person. I would name anything that come to my head. When it come to like usernames, and I go look like this is horrible. Like, how I'm
At
about to
least
go
you got
in
an
here?
explanation.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm about to go in here and explain who I am, and they like, well, the name doesn't make sense. Like, bro, what is that? I hate explaining names, so that's decent. I instantly thought of Nikki though when you said it.
Well, at least you got it.
Yeah, for
The
real.
monster part, some people get it. If they're a Gaga fan, they get it.
Right now I get it.
I didn't think Gaga. What I thought was that Rick Ross,
Monster,
Nicki Minaj.
yeah, me too.
I'm like, oh, she was really Queens
well,
with
no,
it.
but even though that is my favorite Nicki verse, like that's the only
sure.
verse I can rap from
For
beginning to
sure.
end. But it
That
is
gotta
from
be
Lady
her
Gaga.
best verse.
I
It
agree.
is, and
That's her
now
best
we're
verse.
here.
Hove was on there too, right?
Yeah. Hope
Ross,
was on. That was a great song.
Kanye,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm.
Oh, it was
forgetting one
Kanye's
other.
song. I'm tripping. I'm talking
Yeah.
about Rick Ross song.
Right. But
True.
thank you so much for driving all the way from New York to sit down with us.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Thank you guys
Appreciate
for tuning
it.
in to Cultural Behavior, where every element has a seat at the table. Definitely stay tuned for our next episode.
Absolutely. And I'm your boy, Yad Hip.
I'm Sincerely Jasmine, and this is Cultural Behavior.
And we out of here.